Arch Manning is generating a lot of criticism for the way he played against Texas on Saturday. And in some cases for good reason. Manning was 17 of 30 for 117 yards, 170 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. Also had 10 carries for 38 yards. But he was a lot worse than the stats sheet showed. Arch Manning on an easy crossing route on a fourth down play early in the game, overthrew it. Never should have missed that throw. He had plenty of time to throw throughout a lot of the game. Then on another fourth down, they tried to tush push with him. He did not handle the QB sneak right. They didn't get a first down. And then on another fourth down, he had a receiver on a quick slant wide open over the middle in the goal line that could have been a touchdown, and he decided to throw a fade to the outside. Arch Manning went from a Heisman favorite to a guy who Ryan Clark went out of his way to say was overrated and is not great. Okay. So taking all that into account, Arch Manning is getting flamed on social media and everywhere else. There have been memes saying, with Peyton Manning and Eli talking, where someone throws in a quote that says he's adopted. I kid you not. There have been memes on that. So Arch Manning is getting absolutely roasted everywhere you look. But is that fair? Is that fair? And I'm not going to say it is. I'm going to say it's not. And let me tell you why. I think people are forgetting Peyton Manning's first start at Tennessee, funny enough. And maybe I should have done this day in history for this. Because today is the 31-year anniversary of Peyton Manning playing his first Tennessee game, ironically at UCLA, since we know about the whole Nico Iamaleava situation there. Jerry Colquitt was supposed to be the starter that year. Seventh play of the UCLA game, tears his knee up, can never play again. Todd Helton was the backup, was going to come in, had to finish the game. But the whole plan was for Jerry to be the starter, Todd Helton to be the backup, and Peyton and Brandon Stewart to redshirt, and then Todd Helton go concentrate on baseball, and then Philip Fulmer and David Cutcliffe move forward with either Peyton Manning or Brandon Stewart in 95. But obviously, Peyton got thrust into the winds. He played a series in that game. Brandon Stewart played a series in that game, and Helton played most of the rest of the series. Tennessee lost 25-23 most of the rest of the game. Helton became the starter after that, playing Georgia and then playing Florida, where Manning and Stewart saw a little bit of action again. And then Helton suffered a season-ending injury in the fourth game of the year that year against Mississippi State, at which point Manning came in and had to finish the game. Tennessee lost 24-21, and Tennessee at that point was 1-3. Why am I saying all this? Peyton Manning then got his first start in the fifth game of the year for Tennessee. It was against the Washington State Cougars. Mike Price-led Cougars team, the one that would eventually have the player that Tennessee quarterback Peyton Manning was an NFL draft rival with. We're obviously talking about Ryan Leaf. Now, the relevance of all of this is this. Peyton Manning played horrible in that game. He played horrible in that first start against Washington State. In fact, I will venture to say that he was worse against Washington State than Arch Manning was against Texas. Against Ohio State. For those who don't remember, you ready for Peyton Manning's stat line, guys? Peyton Manning against Washington State in 1994 was 7 of 14 for 79 yards. 7 of 14 for 79 yards. That's right. He was horrible against Washington State. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put up the poll question. Whose first college start was worse? Peyton Manning or Arch? Peyton or Arch Manning? Oh, I'll put it this way. I'll say it this way. Did Peyton or Arch Manning have a worse debut? Now, you can say, we'll say Arch, he lost, Peyton won. Peyton, he was at home. We'll go with those two. Or here we go. Arch, he wasn't a true freshman. Or, so here's how we go. Did Peyton Manning or Arch Manning have a worse debut? Arch, he lost. Peyton won. Peyton, he was at home. Arch, he wasn't a true freshman. Peyton, WSU is no OSU. You guys go ahead and vote on that right now. And that's the poll question up. Did Peyton or Arch Manning have a worse debut? Arch, he lost. Peyton won. Peyton, he was at home. Arch, he wasn't a true freshman. Peyton, Washington State is no Ohio State. You guys go ahead and vote on that. We're going to talk about that. Now, I know you guys are correcting me on a lot of this. This technically wasn't his first start. This was definitely, though, Arch Manning's first game as the full-time starter. I get what you're saying. He started a couple of games last year against random competition. That's the same as saying Peyton Manning got involved playing Mississippi State in the first month of the year. Before he started against Washington State, Peyton Manning had played UCLA, Mississippi State, and against Florida. So he had got the experience he needs. I still think, I'm going to say this overall, I think Peyton's start was worse. And I'm going to say this, bank on it, brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, Life Made Better. Arch Manning's start at Texas is no indication of how great he's going to be. He will still be great. This won't change one thing and should not reset expectations for how good he will be. That's bank on it.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
The poll question up, did Peyton or Arch Manning have a worse debut? 50% of you say Arch because he wasn't a true freshman. Peyton Manning was when he started. 25% say Arch, he lost. Peyton won. 12% say Peyton, he was at home. Another 12% say Peyton, Washington State is no Oregon State or Ohio State. Now, for those who don't remember, to be fair, Peyton did win that game against Washington State. Tennessee won 10-9. They won 10-9, and it was all based on one big touchdown run on a reverse play that David Cutcliffe had called. It was a 62-yard run. I think Nilo Sylvan ran it. It was a 62-yard run on a reverse play to Nilo Sylvan. That was where they got their one touchdown, and it was enough for them to win 10-9 at home. Very ugly game, but it for those who don't remember that 94 game, I just want to point this out. That is the turnaround game of the decade for Tennessee football. Tennessee was 1-3, like I said. Let's talk about everything that had led up to that point, okay? 1989 is when Tennessee really starts to hit its stride as a program during its peak of the modern era. We say it lasted from 89 to 2004. They made a bowl game every year. During that period, they won 4 SEC titles. The national title had multiple top 10 finishes. 1989, they won a share of the SEC title. 1990, they win the SEC title. They finished top 5, top 10, respectively, those few years. 1991, they go 9-3, would have the miracle at South Bend, finish top 15. 1992, the whole Johnny Major scenario happens where he recovers from open heart surgery. Tennessee starts 3-0. Then they lose 3 straight in the middle of the season with a new quarterback, and Heath Schuler finished the year 9-3. Johnny Majors is canned for Philip Fulmer, splits the university over who should be the head coach. Philip Fulmer gets the job. People think Johnny Majors was done wrong. Johnny Majors thinks he was done wrong. It's all there. 93, with all that happening, Tennessee's got a national title caliber team that Majors felt he built and Fulmer's going to inherit. Tennessee just goes 9-2-1 that year. Actually a bit disappointing for Tennessee. Heath Schuler then leaves. Tennessee goes into 94 with Jerry Colquitt, expecting to probably go 9-2, 10-1 again with the senior quarterback as they build for the future with Peyton Manning. That's the hype, the future. And then after Jerry Colquitt gets hurt, they're 1-3, and this is only Philip Fulmer's second full season. There's a real question about Philip Fulmer's ability to do the job at this point. A real question. They're playing Washington State at home. If they lose this game, they are 1-4. And they have to start a true freshman in Peyton Manning, which was a much bigger deal back then. And being 1-4 is a serious, serious hole to dig your way out of. By beating Washington State 10-9 and that ugly of a win, Washington State was a top 25 team at the time, had the number 1 ranked defense in the nation. Tennessee turned everything around. They went that got them to 2-4. That got them to 2-3. They beat Arkansas the next week to get to 3-3. They did lose at home to Alabama in a very close one. Alabama finished the year undefeated in the regular season that year. And then they won out the rest of the way to go 8-4. But that Washington State game was the turning point game. I think we have to be fair to Arch Manning to say that Ohio State game was a brutal start. He was facing the defending national champions on the road. I got to point out that, yes, he did miss a couple of throws. I think nerves got to him a little bit. The hype got to him. Part of this was just overhyping him so much and putting so much on him. This does not mean he's not going to be great. He had a rough start. It happens. It happens regularly in college football, and I don't see how anybody should really be that concerned going forward with Arch Manning, because he didn't ball out in his first start as the full-time quarterback at Texas on the road against the defending national champions. Everybody take a step back. Everybody chill. I think Peyton Manning's first start is proof that sometimes you can struggle early. So give Arch Manning some time to get better.